Welcome everyone, Costin here with more Total War Warhammer 3. Gonna be playing more as Ikit Claw. So I've gone over the early game part of how you should play Ikit Claw. Obviously there are two main choices. You can go west for Tilea, or you can go for what I'd call the Tilean plan. I think the Tilean plan is better, but what do you do after? Well, here are my choices. I can go after Mogr. Chances are I would win, but then I'd have to spend quite a bit of money resettling Tilea. And Mogr can be useful in dealing with some of my enemies, though he's also going to make the areas he's going through uninhabitable. He is a pretty terrible ally to have in a lot of ways, actually. So that is one path, and once I would take Tilea from Mogr, I'd have to deal with Carcassonne, maybe Grom the Punch, maybe I could make some agreements with Grom the Punch. But quite likely, if I do that, I'll end up fighting the Wood Elves. Second option, I could go fight Belegar. He doesn't like me, he's quite likely to declare war against me, but he's got his other, plenty of issues to deal with. And if I go after Belegar, I end up fighting all of the Wood Elves. I don't want to fight the Wood Elves at this particular point in a campaign. Fighting the Wood Elves is painful because, one, they have powerful armies. Two, you're not really going to gain anything by taking their settlements. They are good settlements, but the problem is this. The settlements themselves are uninhabitable. So you're not really going to gain a significant amount by wiping them out. You can, don't get me wrong, you can wipe out Belegar, wipe out Mogr, wipe out Carcassonne, and then deal with the Wood Elves. But you're not going to gain anything except a lot of grief for dealing with the Wood Elves. So what will I do instead? Well, there is the Southern plan, the Southlands plan. Now, here's the logic here. These factions over here are in a nice little bubble, right? In Araby, basically. And this bubble extends all the way, basically, to the Black Tower of Arkon. Yes, this will put you in striking the distance of the Black Pyramid of Nagash, Volkmar, who won't like you, and Khemri. Or you could just take out Arkon and Rapance, then go deal with Mogr, then deal with Bretonnia and the Wood Elves and Belegar. What's the benefit of the Southern plan? And that's what I'm going to follow here. Well, the benefit is this. You are going to end up gaining all of this territory from Arkon, Rapance, the Dwarves, the Ogres. You can make a deal with the Tomb Kings. Not necessarily the ones that are over here, the Raka dynasty. You can make a deal with them. Give them, like maybe give them Zandri, you take the rest, your borders are secure there, you can ignore the south, and then come back north with your armies, deal with everything that lies there. And I think that's a better plan than the alternative. That's just my perspective. Because the problem with going after Belegar, in particular, beyond the Wood Elves, all of which you will come in contact with, you also get in contact with Gelt. And if you get in contact with Gelt, he's likely to declare war against you. Then if you deal with Gelt, you start expanding in the Empire, you likely come in contact with the rest of the Empire. They declare war on you. And so you end up playing the game controlled basically by the AI in a sense. Like the AI is dictating your course of action. And if there is a tip that I would give to people, regardless, is never let your campaigns be dictated by the actions of the AI. Another problem, by the way, of going after Belegar and going after the Wood Elves is if you have the Ultimate Game Crisis on, and I would not have it on if I'm playing as Ikit Claw, to be honest with you. But if you have it on, you're gonna have all of the Wood Elves spawning here, which is a pain, and you're gonna have Dwarves spawning under Belegar, which in itself is a pain. So I am going to march an army over here, and we're gonna deal with this rogue force, this rogue army over here. Just destroy them. And then we're gonna cross the ocean with Ikit Claw. Now, there are downsides, of course, for going after Bretonnia. The biggest downside is that Rapance actually has a pretty good army, well suited to dealing with Ikit Claw. By the way, Ikit Claw has some weird situation where in auto resolve he may take a significant amount of damage. I am Not quite entirely certain why that happens, just know that it does happen. Quite often. Again, not entirely certain. I think it's when he gets the Doom Wheel in particular that it does start occurring. But I'm not sure why. It used to happen in Warhammer 2 as well, by the way. Now over here I'm gonna get power armor for him. Ballistics calibration for him, firing skill. And yeah, get hard to hit. Broom Archer, inspiring presence. Now he's gonna stay behind, and the reason he's gonna stay behind is if I leave this territory undefended, Belegar is just gonna take that as an invitation to come try and kill me. Obviously, I don't want that to happen. For pretty clear and obvious reasons. I do not want Belegar to do something like that. Now, the thing to know about Rapans is this. Your weapon teams can be vulnerable to cavalry charges. Yes, you can utilize the corner camping and all that, but Rapans has a lot of early game cavalry, probably some of the most in the game of any faction at the start. Like most Bretonnian factions will have a lot of peasantry. Rapans, because she has a special building in her settlement, will actually get a lot of knights errant specifically. Alright. I'm gonna take Vermich and we are gonna wipe this out. Now he's gonna run into that lovely little corner. Now I'm gonna move Ikit over here. There's still enough vampiric corruption to be a problem there. So I'm gonna need to move Vermich out very, very quickly. He had Slayers, gentlemen. Gonna get some replenishment. Move him over here. He's gained a level. Gonna get HP for him. Now, why do I think Ikit Claw takes so much damage in the Auto Resolve? Because there's gotta be an explanation for it, right? Gonna get a building here to start unlocking Chieftains, get the control higher. I will want to get the Chieftains up. And going to get the dominating scheme for more growth, control, and so on. Some people would argue that abandoning and retaking Skaven Blight will pay off, because you can get it to like even level 4 pretty early on. And yes, there are benefits to doing that, undeniably so. I am not a fan of doing that because you will have to pay a lot of money, and it will take time for your structures to be built, and you're consuming an enormous amount of food, which has its own significant downsides in terms of your economy, your public growth, your public order, your growth, etc. Now my goal is to take out Rapans, take out Archon. I am going to have to fight Rapans for her territory. Then deal with the dwarves, deal with the ogres, get the Great Desert of Araby as well. I think I'll start by taking out Rapans, then the Knights of Origo, who do have a stack of troops here. They may land, they may come for me. Alright, over here. Now he's stationed over here. If they do come for him, just gonna get more buildings. Here, just pretty much everything. Get this to level 2, start cranking out Chieftains. Chieftains are really nice to have because they increase the loyalty of your lords. Because Skaven do have a loyalty mechanic. Now, Nagash is someone you can make deals with, but you don't want to. Well, Archon is someone you can make deals with. Though, do you want to? Is the real question. My answer to that question would be a hard no, from my personal perspective. Now, I do have an objective to increase the Forbidden Workshop to level 2. That objective is to use the Doom Rocket in a battle. I just haven't had the reason to. I've auto-resolved a lot so far. And you want to have an easier campaign on Legendary than you would otherwise, just end up in a situation where you can auto-resolve a lot of battles. Here, that's exactly what I'm going to be able to do. Yeah, there will be some casualties, you won't get the same experience, but I can take out Rapunzel for a significant portion of her territory pretty easily. Now over here, take this out and occupy a level 2. I'm gonna go with level 2 because I feel like it generally level 3 will be acquired pretty quickly. Gonna get some things there. And there's Rapunzel, there's her army. She's holding the port over there. I can stimulate growth in this particular province, I'm just gonna do exactly that. And for my warlock, I'm gonna get triangulation. Now, if you can, with Rapunzel, something to know. If you can get Rapunzel in, if you can get her stuck into a minor settlement, that is actually your best shot at eliminating her effectively. The reason behind that, now over here, if they do land on my territory, I'll just get a bunch of regiments of renown and crush them. It would be a lot of money instantly to be spending on something like that. Just gonna get 2 Skaven slaves though. But I would be able to win that battle against the Knights of Origo. Now look at the mistake of the AI. Like, I have an entire army bearing down on Rapunzel over here in Kofar, and the Knights of Origo, who are her allies basically, are just going to waste their army trying to raid my settlement. I do need to maintain an army for this, but that's why you make a powerful Doom stack that just takes the territory. And look, Rapunzel is gonna fall back to the walled city. Now, dealing with I'll hike is not exactly my idea of a great time, and I do want to take Kofar first. I actually want to take it at level 3 if possible. Let's get that money. I'm not sure what he's done. Has he fallen back? I very much doubt he's maintaining. Yeah, he's probably fallen back. Okay. Well, there are pros and cons over here. If I take the capital, I leave myself vulnerable to 2 things. I leave myself vulnerable to a counterattack by the Knights of Origo. And this is a walled settlement. Okay. This arms race, no contest. That is a ridiculous amount of money. Gonna start it at level 3. Why is that? The port. Gonna get the Chieftain. Nice stuff to have. Next in line. Okay. And well, control, I'll just buff that even further. And Ikit Claw has gained a level. Now Rapunzel does have this territory here, and she does have an army here. She's recruiting units on that side. He's gonna get... Well, there are a bunch of things I could get that would make sense for him. But for now, I'm gonna get the jetpack. A jetpack while he's riding on the Doom Wheel. No wonder this guy is dying. Alright, gonna get the new Chieftain. The capacity is 2 out of 3. Okay. So I could potentially get rid of this building as well. But yeah, the harbor here is really nice. It's a lot of income, casualty replenishment, growth. It's well worth having as a structure. Now Ikit Claw has taken some damage, but he will be fine. Again, I emphasize that if you can get opponents in a minor settlement, one without walls, not an open field, that is the most ideal situation you can have, because her main power is the knights that she does have under her control. If you can tackle said knights easily in a minor settlement, yes, Skaven are not necessarily the best at dealing with minor settlements, it doesn't matter. So I'll take this minor settlement. I'm not sure what Archon is doing. Like, Archon might make progress. Like, obviously, at this point, things may not go the way you want them to go.
Not enough clan rats. Next in line.
Alright, these clan rats are gonna merge
War power.
and then get disbanded. So I can afford the Chieftain in this army. It might even be an idea.
Attack, attack.
What is she doing?
No.
Well, okay. I've fought enough garrisons for a moment, I feel.
More warpstone. Now, now.
If she attacks me. Okay, so I am ready to go after Repons. And I kind of caught a lucky break, because I could fight the settlement battle, or I can fight the battle over here outside of the settlement against her directly. Now, she will launch a devastating attack. She does have a pretty good garrison here, and she does have quite a lot of knights. So dealing with those knights, well, that will be an interesting... But if the AI has one settlement and 2 armies, they're generally going to keep those 2 armies near or in the settlement, which gives you an advantage. An advantage in that you can obviously attack the army outside of the city and draw the garrison out, unless the army retreats. In which case, the AI decided that it's not strong enough to face you, and you're going to have the advantage in that particular battle. Now, over here, this would be a good ground. Yes, corner camping is a cheese, etc, etc. But given what I'm facing, she does have large numbers of knights, which will create an issue if I try and fight it directly. There's also advantages in this particular piece of terrain. It's elevated, right? So because it's elevated, I can deploy Jezzails behind them, and then in front of them, the Rattling Gunners. And we're still on the elevation, it's still gonna go down a bit, right? So in front, I can put, or on the side, I can put Clan Rats and Heroes in the center. And they should be able to fire. Emphasis on should. It isn't necessarily the best position, if you will. But we're just gonna wait for her pawns. She feels she's gonna win, so she's going to attack. One of the things I could also do to increase my chance of landing hits, so to speak, is making a narrower formation. It's not an effective formation, but the goal here, if you will, well, the goal is to bombard them with a nuclear weapon. There we go. Goodbye, Bretonia. Oh, that didn't do a lot of damage, because they moved out of the way, sadly enough. Okay. So elevation is really gonna be key if you do intend
Time to die. Clan rats.
to fight there. And I've summoned those clan rats, yes, to just deal with that situation.
All will obey. Warp stone magic. Core systems on. Magic steady. Spell casting. Yes, yeah, yeah.
So much of Rapunzel's army has been eliminated already.
Ready. Clan chieftain. Smartest
Gonna use another unit of clan rats and going to have the catapults shoot at this massive blob of enemy units.
clan rats. Our tail's yours.
And if the wolf rats could get there, that would be great even. Gonna send Ikit actually, because he apparently is the only one who can get anything done.
Agree.
But the elevation was a really useful thing. Took some damage, sure, courtesy of our artillery. But she's dead, our army is dead.
Kill sequence. Lady claw catapult. Clan rats. Now, ready now.
Now clean up. I do like he's doing damage, range damage, while riding the Doom Ikit is something else. If only he didn't take so much damage himself in Auto Resolve in particular. Hasn't happened yet so far, but I've seen it happen. So if you can get an elevated high ground like I did there, your Zales and Rallying Gunners will all be able to shoot, to fire at the enemy as they approach. Rapunzel's army is annihilated over here. And that's all she had left. Well, she does have a garrison, but Auto-Resolve should be able to put to deal. This is a bit of an insane campaign plan, though, I gotta admit. When you think about it, most people would want to stay out of the Southlands. You're directly invading the Southlands. Yeah, madness doesn't begin to properly do justice to this ridiculousness.
Goes in on death targets.
If I were to go down to level 4,
Our underground. Big, strong.
there we go. Well, that's not useful to me right now. Gonna get this one building, which you can get to level 3, because it increases the income from all buildings in the entire region. Control. And one, by getting this would be nice, eventually. Pack Masters. Assassin. Yeah, let's get an assassin. Get that proper unit replenishment. Why not?
Chief Warlock, Ikit Claw.
Okay, and over here, get replenishment for him. And start spending an engineering skill. I guess skills. With that, the workshop has upgraded to level 2. Construction cavern. That is a construction cavern. Get Tilea to level 4. Sartosa will soon follow.
Machinations.
Right. So I need to get that to a higher level. I also get upgrades for weapon team, so reload time reduction for handling gunners, missile resistance for Jezzails. That will unlock sniper escape, which gives one unit some significant benefits. Now if I get this all the way to max level, but that will require 3 more. I get the death dealers, rallying gunners, so special rallying gunners. The real question is, what do you want to bother with? Warp grinders are something else, I would argue. Like, I could get 2 points here, the 13 visions, and get that unlocked. Or I could start working on Doom Wheels to get some more benefits. Or Doom Flayers as well. Gonna get another Doom Rocket, always pays to have it. And gonna get that 25% chance to build another one. Doesn't always happen, sadly enough. Okay. Quite likely going to face a rebellion here.
More warpstone. Now.
Okay. Get one more ability use for both of them.
Candidate for weapons testing.
Get triangulation, arms dealer.
Blacklisted.
Get training, tail weapon, more training. Elusive. Now, I would love if I could keep Ikit Claw. I'm gonna get a rebellion. That's actually fine. Now the dwarves there might attack the mountain. Take out the mountain. I might leave an army with a couple of Skaven slaves here. Alright, she's fled to the ocean. No. You're not gonna get the non-aggression pact. I'll take out the Knights of Origo and give that settlement to the Tomb Kings. Feel they will like having it. Knights of Rebellion, get that to level 2. And over here, could get more growth. Could get a bunch of things. Could get more pack masters or a plague priest. Decisions, decisions, decisions. Well, I think I'm gonna go with the engineer. Deal with the rebellion, deal with the plans. Then they deal with the Knights of Origo, then the Dwarves, and then the Gash. As I said, he takes a ridiculous amount of damage and not resolve, even though he fucking shouldn't. Like, how does that happen? Yeah, this gets a bit ridiculous. But either way, Rapunz is dead. Nice boats that the Skaven have. And I'm not sure they're supposed to have a navy.
Do you take me for a child?
My Lich advisors bid that we should make amends.
Make some deals with them.
Consent given. Wars chosen.
Where are my schematics?
Well, would I be able to reach it? Chances would be no. I would not. More capacity for Chieftains.
Sorcerer inventor, yes, yes.
Get another one.
Need promotion.
Alright, Skaven Blight is, well, the shithole we all know it to be.
Into the holes.
It is always interesting seeing the Beastmen do their thing. Gonna get a non-aggression pack with Scrag.
Armored in faith.
And the goal is to take out the Knights of Origo. Now, the dwarves are advancing against me.
Engineer of Scrya.
So the goal here will be take out the capital of the Knights of Origo and give that to the Tomb Kings. And then shove off. Now the AI does what the AI does best. Doesn't it?
Roger, death, kill. Ikit claw.
More warp fuel. Enjoy.
Of war.
100% chance to recover warp fuel after using a Doom Rocket in battle. Increases storage limit.
The convention is to bow. I suggest you do to stay in my good graces.
Alright. Get some money from that. Now, military alliances can be tricky, dependent on how you play them. But I feel getting this alliance at this moment with them makes the most sense. You may want to come back here to get the Black Pyramid of Ash. You could also end up in a war with them, if you so desire.
Onward. Not you. Consume.
Good scheme.
Right, get more skill there.
There are lab rats with more loyalty.
This behavior though, the AI, just so weird.
Pest in clan. Obey, Chief. Oh, me last week. War power.
Alright, I've reached my Chieftain cap. Let me get an assassin. Warp hive throwers, warp lightning cannons, and doom wheels. Pick up one.
Call me Death Master.
Get this to level 3.
Submit to your king.
And then I'm going to go deal with the dwarves. Research wise, I want to get campaign movement range. That.
Very well.
It's gonna take a while for him to get any kind of good recruitment. It's alright. I'm gonna go deal with the dwarves. Okay, so I find myself in a rough situation. I have a battle here, but the problem is the terrain that's in this battlefield is rough, so I'm gonna withdraw with Ikit. What happened is that Archon attacked. Right, this is gonna be much better. So what happened is Archon attacked the dwarves, right? I took him out after he killed the dwarves. I killed his main army. Then I followed up to try and take the former capital of the dwarves, but he had 2 armies nearby. Unpleasant situation. The issue here is he's got hex wraiths, he's got wolves, he's got bats. If I had fought them outside of the gates, and I guess this is the one thing to be said, if you're gonna fight for a settlement, if you're gonna attack the settlement, you pretty much need to attack it instantly. If you can't attack it instantly, don't go for it at all, because it's not gonna end well for you. Lesson learned for me there. Lesson learned. And over here, I am going to deploy in the corner to deal with a large number of flying bullshit, as I'd call him, that he's gonna throw my way. So deploy Jezzails on the high ground. Actually, I'm gonna deploy ideally. So this is a good, really good position because he can't really easily flank it. At the same time, I need to be careful, mindful. Storm vermin are gonna take that flank. They're gonna take that flank. I need to be mindful of a couple of things. He's got a lot of flank stuff, so he's gonna ruthlessly use that to his advantage. Another aspect. I could deploy like this. Narrower in scope, may have some issues with getting shots off, but far better protected, I feel. Because it protects against moves on that particular flank. I see a lot here. Alright, there's limitations there. That's fine. I'm gonna send Ikit on his Doom Wheel to draw some of the enemy to me. Now they'll be able to use the they'll be able to fly over me. Now some of these guys are going to be in forced march stance. Because they did force march to try and get to me here. Those plague laws are a lot better than you might give them credit for when it comes to dealing with this kind of stuff. But the goal is to draw the enemy to me. So you can see the Gisele's, oh yeah, corner camping has always been a cheese, but is the state of Ikit Claw. I would say Ikit Claw, for all his range power, does certainly need some way.
Quick, fast!
Like, I could have gotten more melee in this army, and this army would have been significantly less effective for it. Right, so we got them coming in there.
Claw on button! Great, great, yes!
I am going to start bombarding them.
Ikit claw! Scamper!
They do certainly have a lot of troops, not all of which can actually enter the battlefield.
Time to die!
Alright, trying to get this guy. Alright, that spawned. I know it would.
For Skaven flights! Kill contraptions at hand! Ikit claw!
One hero dead.
Chase! Ikit claw! Ikit claw!
Another coming right up.
Murderous!
They are trying to advance on the white front. Alright, those shopties are gone. More or less.
Countess command! Advance retreat! Ikit claw! Kill time! Attack charge!
I might not even have to use the Doom Rocket in this situation.
At once!
Back corner camping works deliciously well.
Demon primed! Warpstone magic! Scryer's will! Go! Run! Go!
Keep having a Claw to run around. Alright, rats. There's gonna be more cavalry units coming up.
Forward!
More bats. What have you?
Our tail is yours! Attack!
I'm just getting low. Well, on some of the units.
Our tail yours! Die! 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 Blade shot! Kill! Poison! Stab!
One blade out!
Come on! Yes! Magic kill! Ikit claw!
Gonna summon some clan rats. This would be the time.
What orders? Ikit claw! Out of the shores! Blade claw, catapult!
Oh, that's a lot more.
What orders? Ikit claw! For the Valentine! Run, skitter!
Warlock engineer! Me, boss!
Ikit claw! What?
Yes, kill!
We
One cannot help but wonder how many of them I need to kill in order to win over here. There's still some hex raves on the side here.
Ikit claw. Move, run. Ikit claw. Blades like wind. Moving. Infernal weapons.
But those can wait.
Scotty, race.
Gouge tail over.
Need a boss.
Clan Chieftain.
Alright, let's get some wolves.
Doom rocket. Sizzle die. Charging.
Okay, they're starting to completely collapse over there. That's gonna be nuke territory. Oh gosh, that hurts. That genuinely does hurt. Yeah, I know that I was risking a lot, but oh, thankfully there. Okay. That's the perfect spot to use a nuclear weapon.
Backwards.
Because they all fucking die. And then they all die. Alright, we won. Bloodbath of a victory. But sometimes you do get it. And the Tomb Kings can be dangerous if you're left under control. They just get a lot of units and they get them for free. So if you don't keep them under control, you're just gonna end up. I dealt with 3 armies over there. 3. It would have been easier, I guess, if I had gone for the coast, taken the settlements there one by one. They wouldn't have been dwarven settlements with their particular layout, and that makes them difficult to assault, especially for Skaven. The problem is with weapon teams, they won't shoot through, like many ranged units. What they'll do is they'll shoot through an open gate. Weapon teams will just flat out refuse to fire. Plain and simple. Which is a lovely situation. That creates a lot of problems in dealing with that. How do you tackle that? You don't fucking fight sieges, ever. Like, if you're fighting a siege, you're relying on the melee units. You could reduce the weapon teams in Ikit's army, but that's kind of the whole thing he's good at. But you can reduce that, get more, like you could get Doom Wheels, they would help. Doom Wheels would help, other things would help. Okay. Now, over here, I'm just gonna go for level 4 of this particular settlement. Get the income benefit. Control. Casualty replenishment. And then I can get some more recruitment. Let's go with the Plague Priest. And yeah, over here I'm actually gonna get the structure, because the only way I can recruit right now those kind of units is through Hell Pit itself for the structure there. So it's having some kind of secondary income will be very nice. So some secondary way of recruiting that will be very nice indeed. Now over here I'm gonna get a bunch of Skaven slaves. And see what kind of deals I can make. Why is my... I didn't make any deals with Archon, did I? Don't believe so, anyway. And or die. Skaven says clan rats, storm vermin, gutter runners. Let's get that one. And then I am going to get his bullet line skill.
There are lab rats with more loyalty. Blacklisted.
For him,
Kill at
get
once.
sneaky. Get range. That range is important.
Candidate for weapons testing.
Suspiciously loyal, though that's not important. Though the word save is.
There are lab rats with
For
more
him,
loyalty.
more replenishment. Venomous attacks.
Machinations. Master engineer.
Alright. Orion is coming again.
Blacklisted. Kill at once.
Get public order. I'll get the rebellion, but that's fine. That's how I'll stabilize the province. There is a decent enough chance here to ambush Orion if he comes for me. And between the garrison, I do expect Orion to come and attack me. That's why I left an army there. It's not Belagar or anything less. It's just really, it was the idea that I was at war with Orion. I knew that he was likely going to attack me. And I knew that doing this exact strategy would work. And we'll keep working. Again and again and again. And this is a cheap army to maintain as well. It's mainly Skaven slaves. I'm really reliant on the garrison there. Okay, get this to a higher level. Now over here, there are a bunch of buildings I could get. I think control would be nice. So I can get another pack master over here. I'm gonna get disciplined. Now the other DLC packs like Fraught and all that, they're not strictly necessary, but for the units. But it's nice to. It's nice to have them all the same. So we got the Dwarven Rebellion and Miners. The Miner clan has risen.
Set suit to war, fight, go! Sate the black hunger, minions! Sassy! Sneak go, yes.
Now he's got some formidable things over here. No, that's just a level 3 settlement with nothing to it. Yes, I'm just getting Skaven slaves over there. Let the money flow.
engineer of Scryer. Stop. Yes.
That is the border of my territory. I'm at half movement point, so
Candidate for weapons testing.
let's get carrot and the stick.
They're elaborate
Eventually I
with
might
more
make
loyalty.
gonna get the Doom Rocket.
Blacklisted. Kill at once. Knows who his boss is.
For him, I'm gonna get full-on Blastmaster, tail weapon. Eventually the goal is to transition these guys into proper solid armies. Give the Skaven slaves to some other poor schmuck.
They're elaborate with more loyalty.
Man, the economy can support these armies. They're not good armies, to be clear. But the economy that I do have can support it. I also have an agreement with these guys. Took out Zandri. Made some deals over there.
I am a Grecian.
Right, there's an army. It only has one unit though. If this army can take out Lashik, I'll just do it with it. And then I'll take the Sorcerer's Islands with Ikit Claw. I'll leave this army over here under Arcstorm. I'll leave it to...
Fight me, die in.
Well, help my allies actually, because Volkmar is going to be a pain. Though that is expected. Ikit Claw, however, will be going north once Arkhan is finished. Okay, so several more turns have passed. No major battles have been fought since then. Everything's been auto-resolved. It was a bit touch and go here at the Wizard Caliph Palace, but I moved the second army to support Ikit Claw because he didn't have the forces to take it by default. And you do want to avoid sieges. But here's what should be learned from this. Taking Sartosa, you either take Astalia at the start, but then you expose yourself to Carcassonne, or you can let Mogr just deal with Carcassonne, which is exactly what he's done in this entire campaign. Now, the Fey Enchantress would be a great target because of her defeat rate, but that's not really the most important thing in the world, I feel. But following the Tilean plan, I took Sartosa and then moved on Rapance. Moving on Rapance has several benefits. One, there's only two major factions over here, herself and Arkhan, and they're both at war with each other, basically. So, and Rapance hates your guts, so you can ally with Arkhan. Or you can wipe out Rapance and then wipe out Arkhan, get all of this territory for itself. This territory can become the economic heart of your empire. Skaven settlements really do benefit from being safe, just getting a lot of structures in them, getting the income, because a lot of their buildings do generate income, and then getting this building, the Warpstone Reactor, which would give you up to 50% income from all buildings in a province. Now it's 30%, no, it's 40% at the moment, and this entire province, the mountains, are generating 2,000 income. The ports here with Coffer are generating 2.5, the entire province. And right now the Land of Assassins only 700, but once I start getting, like I didn't put as much food in this as I did in some other provinces, but once the growth gets going, it will get going and it will be pretty good. Sartosa is also great because you do get the structure which gives you a bunch of trade, and you can also get more wine over here. The Vulture Mountains are great because you can get diamonds, gems. And now, what would I do in this campaign? This area is relatively safe. I'll leave an army here to stabilize the situation, but it's safe. Especially because I've made an alliance here with these fellows, with these Tomb Kings. And I'm also gonna make some deals with Cetra. Yes, if the endgame event with Nagash kicks up, that's going to be a problem. But I can deal with that if it comes down to it. And besides, I'm not so close enough to the Sentinels that they're just going to march against me. I mean, the Great Desert can be under threat, but the Great Desert is not particularly relevant, although it does give you immunity to desert attrition to all armies, which does matter. I'm not sure if it should have public order. I remember, maybe I should check my Cetra campaign, but I don't think it had public order in that specific campaign. But either way, if I keep Skaven, like, Skaven corruption is so ridiculous. Most other corruption will give you public benefit. They have public order when you have low Skaven corruption. But you can't keep it low because you do need the economy, which requires you to build all these structures that increase your Skaven corruption. So you're just gonna have to deal with the fact that you don't have 100 Skaven corruption. In Zartosa, I'm actually benefiting from having the vampire corruption in terms of being able to maintain control over this particular region. There's some issues that are going to crop up over here, of course, but I can always switch to the public order commandment and stabilize the situation there, or move an army for a couple of turns, stabilize the situation, move on. Getting Skaven Blight to level 4, getting a bunch of these things upgraded, lots of income, and it's safe. No armies, like if we look at them up, very few armies are actually going to march to threaten me. I mean, there is this ogre army, right? Because I did expect that ogres would have some army elsewhere. There is an ogre army, but outside of that, and they're just gonna march to try and take this back. And I'm just gonna fortify it anyway. I was gonna fortify it to this entire army. But armies generally won't march across the ocean against you. So I'm not under threat from the Vampire Coast. I'm not under threat from being invaded from the north, anything. Like, even if I were to lose Skaven Blight, I am relatively safe in this position. So what do you do now that you've captured all of that? Well, if you went with the Estalian plan, like, one of the things you can do when you start your campaign, you can go for this Estalia. What you do is you sack Tobaro again and again and again. You wait for Morgor to take out the capital of Magritta. You wait until he does that. When he does that, you march Ikit Claw and pulverize Morgor. And you take out his Hearthstone. You might take, it would be a tricky fight. You might want to recruit a second army, like if you want to capture Estalia, and then you can go for Tilea, take out Sartosa. Sartosa will obviously hold Tilea by that point, most likely. But you do that, and then you can follow through with exactly what I've done in this campaign. Because right here, I can march an army against Morgor, but it's going to take me a lot of money to rebuild this entire province pretty much from scratch. So it's going to take certainly some resources to be able to do it. But once I do it, this will be fairly safe and really good. There's 2 settlements. I would recommend against the Stallion plan because you just end up in a situation where you're fighting Carcassonne, whereas you can let Mogor fight Carcassonne. And he will do more than just that. Like, he's going to do... Like, at this point, I would want to wipe him out. Yes. Because he's outlived his usefulness, and the corruption he's spreading isn't necessarily useful. But he's at war with Orion, right? He might be at war with one of your enemies. He might go to war against you. If he goes to war against you, set up an ambush in Skaven Blight, wipe him out. And just farm him or experience. Don't just wipe him out. Like, there's no way the garrison of Skaven Blight would be overcome by Mogor. That's just something to say there. And at this point, if I were to continue this campaign, what I would do is go wipe out Mogor, then resell all of Stalia while Ikit Claw goes against Belegar. And yes, that would mean I would go in the Empire, but you are in a much, much better situation to deal with that. Or I could ignore Belegar, or I could take Belegar's territories and give them to Scrag and let him deal with Gelt and the Empire while I expand in Bretonia, though I would likely still have to deal with the Wood Elves. The issue as Ikit Claw is that you're incredibly vulnerable to the Wood Elf endgame crisis, because all of those Wood Elf armies, a lot of them are going to spawn here. There's 4 major settlements, 4 factions here, and they're all going to get armies, so there's going to be, what, 20 stacks of units here? Now, Ikit Claw is powerful. He isn't necessarily that powerful. Ulfon is not worth going for because it's not a good climate for you. So you can expand in the south. You could even go to Lustria if you want. So there's choices. And I think actually the Lustrian plan, like taking Estalia makes sense. But the Lustrian plan may have actually quite a lot of merits because the Lustria is relatively safe, surprisingly. It's relatively safe. You could expand there, gain a significant amount of territory, then deal with the Empire, the Wood Elves, Belegar, what have you. Just the hardest path you can take, like the easiest path right now for me would be Lustria. Like, I would say it's harder to go for Estalia first than Tilea. By either way, it's a significantly harder campaign to go north than it is to go south. And now that I've captured what I want in the south, and I don't want to go here. I mean, I could, but if I look at Toggle 504, I could expand across the south. I could capture all of this. But there are free, like if you have the Ultimate Crisis mode, there's the Vampire Counts, the Sentinels, the Elves, and the Dwarves all at once. It's not really a great region to establish an empire. Although the Black Pyramid of Nagash would certainly give you some significant benefits to your faction if you can capture it. Though that might be later. I think at this point the smartest thing for Ikit to do in an Ikit campaign would be to take Lustria. That would be your game plan going forward. So, that's all I had to say. Costin signing out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and enable notifications, and stay tuned for more.